To us.
Awesome. So welcome to Advanced Training 2, you guys. So today what we're going to be going over is some recognition and appreciation for all of your guys' hard work and your guys' sales. Then we're going to talk about the 4 R's of recommendations and referrals and talk about how to get more recommendations and referrals. Then we're going to be going over the objection cycle. So we're going to be talking about how to handle objections. I'm going to teach you guys how to get whatever you want from whoever you want, whenever you want it, which is pretty dope as well. And then we're going to be talking about closing, phoning recommendations and the power of that. Then we're going to do some advanced skill building, talk about building rapport, and then we're going to dive into sharing goals, and then we're going to dive into team meeting. And there will probably be about like a 5-10 minute interval between this meeting and team meeting. Sound good? Cool. So let's go ahead and dive in. So first things first is just some recognition and appreciation for your guys' hard work. So let's go ahead and look back on last week's sales. And then, so far this week, we got Ryder at $431 in sales, placing 2 orders so far. So shout out Ryder for being on the board before Advanced Training 2. And then going to last week, your guys' first weekend, Ryder also hitting his first promotion, making over $100 in income so far, halfway, a little $9 away from halfway to his 3K promo, which is pretty fire, pretty spectacular. So for everyone else, it's coming. It's right around the corner. And I know that you guys are going to get your next sale and your first sale here soon. So let's dive into recommendations and referrals. We're going to dive into the 4 R's of recommendations and referrals. So I'm going to go ahead and move this, and I'm going to be drawn on the whiteboard as well. So here is the 4 R's to recommendations and referrals, and you can title this in your guys' notes. So this is going to be the 4 R's to more recos. And 4 main keys. So the first R to building more recommendations and getting more recommendations and referrals is going to be rapport. Going to be rapport. The more rapport you guys build, the more recommendations and referrals that you guys will get. Rapport is going to be your secret sauce. It's going to be your secret sauce to everything that we do in this job. You're struggling with closing, build more rapport. Struggling with phoning, build more rapport. Struggling with recommendations and referrals, build more rapport. Rapport. It is so key and it's so important. So what are some, like, my top 3 rapport building topics I think every single person should talk about? So 1 is other people. Other people. So ask about specific people in their life. So ask about how their mom's doing, how their dad's doing, uncle, brother, sister, cousin, aunt, uncle, like brother, sister, like coworkers, neighbors. Ask about specific people in their life. In this world, we love talking about 2 things. First is other people. Next is ourselves. That's why we love social media so much, because we get to talk about other people. Like even in the news, right? They're like, oh, so-and-so tweeted this out the other day. And it's like making the news on the TV. Like, why do we care about what people are tweeting, right? It's because people care about what other people think and what other people are saying and doing. So when we talk about other people and we talk about ourselves, those are the 2 number 1 most like given topics of conversation in America. It's us and other people. So when we talk about ourselves, give them the chance and opportunity to talk about themselves. Ask them what they like. What do they not like? What do they like to do? What do they not like to do? What are their hobbies? What movies do they like? What books do they like to read? What do they like to do in their free time? Do they like to go on vacation? Where's the coolest place you've ever been? Get them talking about themselves, and they'll start to like really open up once they start talking about themselves more. So talk about other people, talk about themselves. And then lastly, the main goal of rapport is to make a friend. Make a friend. So it's not like an interview where I'm like, Ryder, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite food, what's your favorite color? Tell me about your mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, uncle, brother, sister, cousin, right? It's not like an interview. I'm not like fastballing all this. I'm taking the time on each subject. And my goal is to make a friend with Ryder. And you want to make a friend with your customer. You want to be going and kind of shooting for your customers feeling so comfortable with you that they feel comfortable enough that they would like ask you to babysit their kids, or they would ask you to like watch their house while they're out of town. Like that is the level that we are kind of going for right now. So first is build rapport. So other people, ourselves, and to make a friend. Second key, the second R is going to be read your script. Read your script. Circle it, highlight it, star it, put your favorite cuss word in front of it. I don't care. Read your script. Every single time, read your script word for word, bar for bar, verse for verse. Read your script every single time. Read your script every single time. The script is there for a reason. The script is there for a reason. Don't like be like halfway reading your script and then like freestyle the other half. No, we already know what the words are. Just read them. Third R is rethink. Get your customers rethinking about people that they could recommend you to. So the most common objections that you guys are going to get is they're going to say, I don't know anyone. And then they're going to say, let me talk to them first. Right? They're going to say, oh, I don't know anyone, or hey, let me talk to them first. The way that we handle those objections before they come up is in the rapport section. So you notice in the rapport section, we talked about other people, right? So if they get to the rapport section and they're like, oh, I don't know anyone. Well, what about your Uncle Jimmy? What about your Aunt Stacy? I know little Jimmy just joined a soccer league. What about the other soccer moms or the other soccer dads? I know that you guys probably organize carpools. Mrs. Jones, I know you're probably the mom that brings the orange slices. Bring the orange slices. That's my favorite part of Little League soccer. So you should definitely give me some of those parents as well. What did I just do to that objection of I don't know people? I handled it before it came up. And we did that in the rapport building section. Next, they're going to ask them to say, hey, can I talk to them first? And if you built good rapport and if you made a friend, they won't get that objection. They won't get that objection, or you won't get that objection, because when they want to talk to their friends first, what they're really saying is, I'm uncomfortable giving you guys names and numbers of my friends' parents because I don't know you well enough yet to trust you with my friends and family. So when you make a friend, that will kind of handle itself as well. So when you also rethink, do you guys remember in training when we did that names list activity? And I was just like, hey guys, I'm just gonna like spout out like a bunch of thought joggers. I just want you guys to write down anyone that comes to mind. Do you guys remember that in training when we did that? Advanced training and training, yeah. So do that with your customers. Do that with your customers. Like, hey, who's a coworker? Who's the nicest person you know? Who's someone that you know that doesn't hate college kids? Who is someone that you know that loves eating out? Who's the nicest person you know? Whatever it might be, just get them thinking, get them kind of going up in their head about people that they could add on to their list. And then the fourth key, which is going to be one of the most important ones, is re-ask. Re-ask. So throughout the drop-down process, how many times did we ask for the orders? The rule of 7, right? The rule of 7. We ask 7 times for the order before we get to like the reserving the buy now bonus, and that's the 7th ask. So why are we not asking for recommendations and referrals 7 times? Right? And every single time that I've ever done a presentation and got recommendations and referrals on it, I was never like, hey, who do you know that might be nice enough to help me out? They weren't like, okay, here you go. Here's 25 people. It was never like that. They started off with 2 or 3. And I was like, hey, sponsorship. Can you get me like 3 more so you become a sponsor? They would give me like maybe 4 more. Okay, cool. Now I'm at 7. Is there any way they can give me 3 more so you become a double sponsor? All right, awesome. Well, can you break my record? My record is 15. Could you give me like 16 possibly? Oh, I know. Remember we were talking about like your Uncle Louie. Can you recommend him too if you haven't already? Right? I'm constantly re-asking. It's not like a one ask, like, oh, I gave you 3. Okay, cool, bye. No, it's hey, who else could we add? Right? So get them rethinking and re-asking. Questions on this? Makes sense? Thumbs ups? Awesome. So the 4 R's: rapport, read your script, get them rethinking, and then re-ask. And then also with the re-ask, I wrote down rule of 7. And then I want you guys to write this down: sponsorship. I want you guys to have a sponsorship focus of getting sponsors, like that 5 or 10, and making sure that you guys are having the people sign the back of your book, the back of your manual. Have you guys been having people do that? On page 30, on the very last page of your guys' script, on the very last page, it says sponsorship, customer recommendation sponsorship tracker. It goes 1 to 50. Show this to your customers as well and have them write down people's names and numbers, because once you get 50 sponsors, you get 1 free piece of Cutco from your boy. Writer, question? Cool. Or you've just been saying that like, oh, I've been doing that.
You just answered it.
Cool.
I forgot what the reward was for getting the sponsors.
Yep. You get 1 free piece of Cutco from your boy. So yeah, that's to get more recommendations and referrals. So rapport, read your script, rethink, and re-ask. So the next thing on our list is the objection cycle. So I'm about to teach you guys an amazing power. I'm about to teach you guys how to get whatever you want, whenever you want, from whoever you want it, in a very simple way and a very simple process. And you guys can use this personally, you guys can use this professionally, but this is the 4-step process on how to handle any objection. So if you get objections on the phone, objections with closing, recommendations, phoning, whatever it might be, any objection ever in your entire life, I'm going to teach you how to handle it. Cool. So the first step in handling any objection is leading with an agree. You want to agree. So it might be I completely understand how you feel, or I can definitely see your point of view, or I can see where you're coming from. And what this does is let your customers know that they feel heard and they feel understood, and it opens them to suggestion, and it lets your customers know that you're actively listening to them. So if me and Nicole were in an argument about what is better, Dutch Bros or Starbucks, and I said, Nicole, you are so stupid for liking Starbucks more than Dutch Bros. Dutch Bros is so much better. You're so silly and an absolute bonehead for thinking that. What is Nicole going to do? She's going to put her guard up and she's going to get mad that I called her a bonehead and I called her stupid. Right? And anything after I say like she's a bonehead, I could give the best argument in the world for Dutch Bros, but she's not going to listen to it because she's still hung up that I called her a bonehead and called her stupid. Right? And so that raises your guard up. Who here has ever been in an argument before and they just started like throwing out personal attacks, even though it was about something different? They're like, you're so stupid, you're dumb, blah, 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 blah. And then it just made you more mad and you didn't even hear anything else that they said because you were hung up on that. Show of hands, who's been there? Yeah. So what we're gonna do is the opposite. We're gonna lead with, hey, I completely understand. We're gonna say, hey, I understand how you feel. I can see your point of view. You're just going to agree. Step number 2 is going to be a transition word. It's going to be a that's why, a but, or a however. And what this does is that these transition will help connect ideas and it will help connect step 1 to step 3. So instead So using the same example of me and Nicole liking Dutch Bros versus Starbucks, I'm going to say, Nicole, I completely understand how you feel. Starbucks is absolutely incredible. It paved the way for coffee shops all over the world. But, however, and it's going to connect the next idea and the next point. So it's a transition word. You guys following along so far? Awesome. That brings us to step number 3, which is tell the truth or give an alternate opinion. So what you're going to do is you're going to give the customer or the person you're talking to the proper information. You're going to give an alternative opinion, a different perspective, and this will help your customers know all of their options. So bringing it back to me and Nicole. Nicole, I completely understand how you feel. Starbucks is an amazing coffee shop and it paved the way for coffee shops all over the world. But Dutch Bros is way more trendy. It's way more for younger people, and they have more than just coffee. They have energy drinks and other things as well. And they're super nice and super talkative there. And I just love the atmosphere and the customer service of Dutch Bros so much more than Starbucks. I told her my thoughts. I gave an alternate opinion, a different perspective. Right? But it feels more like a conversation and not like an argument. I'm not trying to sell her on Dutch Bros. I'm not saying, oh, like, you should completely hate Starbucks now and just love Dutch Bros. I acknowledged how she felt. I told her how I felt. And then step number 4 is you're going to ask for the order and close. You're going to ask for the order and close. So this might be, would you like to try blank out today? Or how does that sound? And then you're going to smile, you're going to nod, and you're going to give a customer the chance to say yes or no in a comfortable environment. And once you get your answer, you know how to move forward from there. So this might be in the example of me and Nicole putting the last step together. Nicole, I completely understand how you feel. Starbucks is a really good business. They're a really good company. They paved the way for coffee shops all over the world. But Dutch Bros, in my personal opinion, is much better. They have more diversity in their drinks, and their customer service is way better. So, Nicole, you can see from my point of view and from my perspective that Dutch Bros is way better than Starbucks. Right? I wasn't being salesy. I wasn't being pushy. I wasn't forcing my thoughts and forcing my point of views on Nicole, but I opened her up to suggestion. I gave the alternate opinion, and then I asked for the order. And this is so important, especially when we talk about Cutco on pages 8 and 9 in your guys' script. This is so important because if you get a yes on the homemaker set, you can drop up and show the signature in Ultimate, or you can just write up the order from there. If they say no, you drop down. What do you do when a customer says, I don't know, I need to think about it, or I'm unsure, I don't really know? You're kind of stuck, right? You don't know how to move forward. You're like, could I show him a bigger set? Should I drop down? Should I do this? Should I do that? You want to get that definite yes or no answer. So when we talk about our objections, every single one of our knee-jerk reactions is handled in this way, in this format. So if they say it's too much money, I can't afford it, I'm going to say, hey, I completely understand. $1,549 is a lot all at once. That's why most of our customers split it up over 5 months interest-free. So it'll only be $337 per month. How does that sound? We led with an agreeing statement. That's why transition, gave an alternate opinion or a different alternative, and then we asked for the order. We hit all 4 steps. So when you guys read this script, and when you guys read the script out loud and to your customers and follow the program, you're automatically doing this, and you're automatically following that science, which is pretty awesome and pretty incredible. So you guys can use this in the real world too. So one of your guys' assignments and one of your guys' action steps, I want you guys to write this down, is I want you to use the objection cycle in one of your demos. So read that objections tab when you ask for the homemaker set. If they say no or give any kind of knee-jerk reaction, read that script. That's your first assignment. And then the second assignment is to use this in a real-world situation. So one of my reps on my team last year, her name was Idalise, and she calls me the day after advanced training, and she goes, Trey, I'm eating Chipotle right now. And I was like, okay, I need a little bit more detail. And she goes, me and my boyfriend got in an argument about where we wanted to go eat. He wanted to go to Pizza Hut. I wanted to go to Chipotle. I used the objection cycle on him, and now we're eating Chipotle. And I was like, that poor man, he will never get anything he wants out of that relationship ever again. She's going to handle every single objection that he throws at him every single time. So this is not only a Cutco skill, this is also a life skill. So use the objection cycle in your demo and use the objection cycle in your personal life. That's one of your guys' action steps and assignments for today. Thumbs up if that makes sense. Awesome. Thumbs up if you think that's pretty cool. Awesome. I love it. So next thing that I want to go ahead and talk about is CPR. So you guys can draw a little squiggly line in your notes. And I want to talk about CPR. CPR will keep your Cutco business alive. CPR will keep your Cutco business alive. So let's talk about it. So CPR stands for closing, phoning, and recommendations. Stands for closing, phoning, and recommendations. Stands for closing, phoning, and recommendations. These are the 3 skills that you guys will need to have a good foundation in this job. Ryder, what happens when you build a house on a sand foundation? It's like all loose, it's all gravelly, it's all made of sand. What happens to that house? You're muted.
Well, the second it rains, it's going to sink into the earth.
Yep, it's going to sink into the earth and it's going to
completely collapse.
And it's going to collapse. Nicole, what happens when you build a house on a super strong, flat foundation? What happens to that house?
It holds its structure.
It holds its structure and it can be there for as long as it wants. Right? So when you guys master CPR, those are the 3 skills that you guys will need to keep you alive, and it will give you a strong, flat foundation for you guys to build your Cutco business on. So if you guys don't focus on any other skills but these 3 right here that I'm about to teach you guys are golden. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to draw this little diagram up here. I want you to draw the names and numbers, people to call, demos, recos, money. I want you guys to draw this in your guys' notes, and I'm going to explain this. So names and numbers lead to people to call. So your phoning skills, right? If you have no names and numbers, how are you guys going to call people? Right? But once you guys have those names and numbers and you're calling people, if you're not booking demos, then you're not getting recommendations, and you're not getting recommendations, you're not getting more names and numbers, right? So one feeds into the other directly. So when you have people to call, or when you have names and numbers, you have people to call, which means you do phone jams. And a byproduct of phone jams is you book demos. By booking demos, you're making money, right? And that's always a good byproduct. We always want to make money here because we're closing, we're making sales. Even if you're not making sales, we got that $25 base pay, so you're golden. And demos also lead to recommendations and referrals as well. So having closing, phoning, and recommendations memorized, you guys are setting yourselves up for future success. And this is why. So the most important thing of this entire cycle and the most important step is getting as many names and numbers as you possibly can. Getting as many names and numbers as you guys possibly can. That is going to be the most key and important step into your Cutco foundation and into the rest of your guys' career, is getting the names and numbers. So with that being said, let's talk about how we can get more names and numbers. Let's talk about how we can get more names and numbers. So if you guys want to go ahead and turn to page 30 in your guys' script and page 30 in your guys' manual. Page 30. Page 30 is calling your friends to get parents' numbers. It's calling your friends to get parents' numbers. So I'm just going to read this script out to you. So what you're going to do is you're going to call one of your buddies up on the phone. So for example, in this example, I'm going to call Zach. I'm going to say, hey, Zach, I need you to do me a quick favor. I'm calling all my friends right now. I just started this new job. I'm in this huge contest to earn a scholarship. All I have to do is this really quick presentation for people and get their opinion on something. It's pretty easy to do, but I have to see people that are over 30 and own a home. I was thinking your parents fit that description. I actually have to call them and ask them personally about it. Even if they're too busy to do it, that's fine. It just helps me to give them a call and ask them about it. So who'd be easier to talk to, your mom or your dad? Cool. Can I get his or her number real quick? It would really help me out. Thanks a lot. Okay, cool. I gotta go. I really appreciate it, but this helps a ton. Guys, this was my bread and butter. This is how I got to my first like $25,000 in sales, was from this script right here. So call your friends, get their parents' names and numbers. This will be huge. Even if you don't have their numbers, if you just have like their Snapchats, you guys can call people on Snapchat. Isabella Strubla, one of our assistant managers last summertime, she literally sat down and called every single person on her Snapchat list, and she made probably about like 100 phone calls. I think she got like 50 new names and numbers. That's what she spent all day at the office doing. She was just dialing, just calling all of her friends on Snapchat and getting all of her friends' names and numbers. So use page 30 to your guys' advantage. Use page 30. It is going to be the biggest hack, the biggest tip, the biggest trick that I could possibly give you guys. Cool? Cool. So next thing I want to go ahead and talk about is how to share your goals with your customers. I want to talk about how to share your goals with your customers. So as we learned in training, people don't buy what you do, they buy what? They don't buy what you do, they buy what?
Why you do it?
Why you do it. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. They buy why you do it. So if we don't know why we're working here, how are we supposed to tie in our customers to our goals? Right? So something I want you guys to think about real quick is I want you guys to think of 3 personal goals and 3 professional goals. So before I teach you guys how to share your goals, you guys need to have goals to share. So first goal I kind of got for you guys is our office winning a silver cup. Just like, hey, our office is in the middle of this huge silver cup competition. Our office is competing against all the other offices in the nation right now, and it's our goal as an office to win a silver cup. So that's a great goal to share with your customers, and they'll get really bought into the team aspect, the team atmosphere of everything. So for the other 5 goals that we got going on, what are some of your guys' goals? And I'm not going to ask you guys to share, but I want you guys writing down. Right? Is it to become an assistant manager? Is it to become a branch manager, become a district manager? We talked about the career opportunity and the advancement opportunity in advanced training 1. Do you have an income goal? Are you like, hey, I want to make this much money by this date? Or is it a savings goal of like, hey, I want to save this much money by this date? Is it paying my way through school? Is it graduating college debt free? Right? And when you have an income goal, yes, income is like the end result of us doing this job, and that's a profit, but that's not really a goal. It's what are you going to do with that money? So it's like, hey, I want to save $10,000 by December 31st so that next semester I can go to school in the spring, or so I can buy a new car, or so I can do X, I can do Y, I could do Z, I could do whatever. Or hey, I want to make this much money by this date so I can do this. Or is it like a competitive goal where you're saying like, hey, I want to be the #1 rep in our office this week in sales. So I just want to do as many demos and many presentations as I can. I want to sell as much as I can so I can be #1. Is it a demo goal? Is it like, hey, I want to do as many demos as I possibly can this week? I'm not necessarily focused on the sales number of things. I'm just more focused on the actual demo number, right? So think about some goals that you guys could have and some goals that you guys could share with your guys' customers. Can I get a thumbs up once you guys have your goals written down? Gorgeous. So with that being said, now that we have our goals, I'm going to teach you guys how to share your goals. All right, so you can title this in your notes, sharing goals. All right, sorry, all my system managers just walked in at the same time. So I was just telling them to be quiet. Telling them to be quiet. Anyway, so here's how you share your goals. Sharing your goals is a 3-step process. So what you do, and step number 1, is you start off with gratitude. You start off with gratitude. So it's thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to see my presentation. And you guys better be thanking your customers because they're taking 45 minutes out of their busy days. These are people that are married between the ages of 30 and 60 that live in a home, that live in a house. And they're taking time out of their day to listen to you guys talk about knives. You better lead with some gratitude, right? Just put it in perspective a little bit. So you lead off with gratitude. Second thing is you share your goal. So if my goal is to graduate college debt-free and I was doing a demo with Nicole, I'd say, Nicole, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to see my presentation to me. It really means a lot. One of my goals is actually to graduate college debt-free through Cutco and through Vector. I can win an All-American scholarship. I can also win a team builder scholarship. And the money that I make is all going into my college fund. And then to wrap it up, you're going to thank them again. So it's gratitude, your goal, and then thanking them. So with the college example, I want to say, Nicole, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to see my presentation or to see my presentation. It really means a lot. One of my biggest goals right now is to graduate college debt-free. So every demo that I do, I get $25 to do this presentation. So you just being here is already helping me save enough money to pay my way through school next semester. So I just want to say thank you so much for listening to me. It means the world. And then you guys are going to rinse and repeat with every single goal. So it's you're going to thank and show gratitude. You're going to share your goal, and then you're going to end with thanks. Does that make sense? Cool. So make sure you guys start sharing your goals in this format and just showing that appreciation for your customer. The more you think and the more you appreciate them, the more they're going to tie into your goals because the more that they're going to care. Make sense? Cool. And then lastly, to wrap up today and to wrap up advanced training, because I want to give you guys like 10 minutes before advanced training and team meeting. I'm going to talk about rapport. These are rapport skills. These are going to be rapport skills. And can you guys go set up the conference room? I don't know. These guys. You see like all of them like walk out the door. So these are our rapport building skills. So first key is going to be depth, not width. It's going to be depth, not width. So here's what I mean by depth, not width. There's a lot of things that you guys could talk about, right? And I listed off a lot of things that you guys could talk to your customers about. I was saying like the example of like talking about your mom, dad, brother, sister, little Jimmy just joined a soccer league. That's cool. What do you like to do for fun? Where's the coolest place you've been? What do you do for work? You have really nice plants. So you like a big plant person. I see that you have a bunch of trophies and awards, whatever. We have a lot of different topics to talk about. But what's going to be important is not just hitting those topics, but going deep with those topics. Going deep with those topics is going to be the most important part. So key number 2 is going to be ask follow-ups. Ask follow-up questions. Ask follow-up questions. asking follow-up questions is going to be so key, so huge, and so important. So, for example, Ryder, can I use you as an example?
Absolutely.
Cool. So here's an example of depth and not necessarily width. So Walker or Ryder, where is the coolest place that you've ever been to in your entire life?
Legoland,
Yo, you went, wait, the one in California or the one in Orlando?
California.
The one in California. What was the coolest thing you saw while you were there?
Um, the Star Wars Lego crap.
Star Wars
Yeah.
Legos go crazy. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if you know this about me, Walker, but I'm a big Star Wars fan. Are you a Star Wars fan?
Big Star Wars fan.
Awesome. So you see the new Ahsoka shows coming out next month?
I
Or at the
did,
end of
yeah.
this month? I think it's coming out this Saturday. I think it's like in 2 days or something like that.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So it's coming up, which is super cool. Are you more of a prequel or OG trilogy kind of guy?
Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the show slaps. All of the prequel movies do not. That is my opinion.
That's a crazy hot take. I think the prequels are the best, to be honest. They're my favorite. 1, 2, 3, Clone Wars, all of it. I love it. But you went out to California. Did you used to live in California, or was it just like a vacation time?
Vacation.
Awesome. Who'd you go with?
Just some family.
Like mom, dad? Do you have any siblings, brother, sister?
Yeah.
Who all went?
Oh, like, like literally my whole family, like my extended family and everything too. Like all my aunts, uncles, grandpa, grandma. It was a big trip.
Dude, that sounds like a big trip. When did that happen? Was that recent?
That was like, no, that was like 8 years ago.
Oh, so a long time ago, way pre-COVID.
Far before that.
Awesome, dude. So, and then we're gonna kind of cut the scene. But anyway, so you all like you guys saw that I asked follow-up questions and I asked for depth, not width. Right. So I was like, where's the coolest place you've been? He was like, Legoland. I was like, cool. What was the coolest thing that you saw while you were there? He was like, this, and this. Cool. Who was there with you? Oh, you like Star Wars? I like Star Wars too. And then I asked him follow-up questions about Star Wars. Right. And it all stemmed from the very first topic of coolest place. And then we went here, talked about this subject, went over here, and then talked about this subject, and then came back over here, and then talked about this subject and this subject. And it all stemmed because I was asking these follow-up questions. So you see how the conversation went in a bunch of different directions, but it all stemmed from asking him the coolest place he's ever been to. And then I asked these follow-ups and got that conversation going. And he was able to relate because we found something in common. He likes Legos. I like Legos. He likes Star Wars. I like Star Wars. He has some different opinions than me. I have some different opinions than him. But we also started talking about his family. And then we also started talking about some other stuff too. And so you guys can see how that didn't feel awkward. It didn't feel forced. I was just talking to him about what he was interested in. Make sense? Cool. So, depth, not width. So you guys can hit multiple topics. So is it okay to do this multiple times? Is it okay from like going to one topic up here and then going to another one that leads to another one that leads to like another one, then you go like right here, and then is it okay to have like another one over here as well? Like, is it okay to have multiple of these? Yes, absolutely. The more you have, the better. And so you guys should be spending a minimum of 15 plus minutes in your demo and in your presentation, strictly talking about rapport and making a friend. The more rapport you build, the better you guys are going to be. So that's a tool that you guys can have in your tool belt. It's also a really good life skill to have, is just learning how to ask those follow-up questions and build those relationships a little bit quicker and a little bit easier as well. So before we dive into team meeting, I want to round of takeaways. Nicole, you're the first one on my screen. You can go first.
Rapport is everything. You gotta make those connections, make those friendships, and make the customer feel like you actually care about not just selling to them, but how they're doing, what interests them, things like that.
Rapport is everything. I love it. Ryder?
I like the objection cycle. I'm gonna use that all the time.
Yep. Learning how to get what you want from whoever you want, whenever you want it. It is a huge skill. Huge, huge skill. I love it. Zach?
Having them do the people ideas, just like how you did with us. Every single person, just start naming off different things, give them more ideas in their head about people to refer.
Yeah, get them rethinking about who they could add onto their list. That's huge. I love it. Well, that is going to be a wrap for advanced training. If you guys are watching the recording of this because somehow you guys missed advanced training, send me 5 takeaways.